Good morning, friends. We have something really special in today. But before I get onto that, I'm going to just talk about a couple of things. And I'm a guitar tech and I work from home. And to a lot of people, that may be all that I am. I'm a guitar tech working from home, and great, you know. But I am very fortunate to have. It wasn't how I started doing this. It was. I got a phone call one day from a guy. I was just starting out, and is an importer of really high-end guitars, and I'm not going to mention his name, I'm not going to mention the guitars, but they are high-end, and he was looking for an in-house guitar tech, and that happens now to be me. I went and met him, we talked for hours, and I became his guitar tech, and I still am his guitar tech. So I sort him out, I sort his guitars out, you know, but we keep that all pretty much inconspicuous. And the good thing about that is it's kind of rubbed off into this area where I'm a guitar tech. Because I am very fortunate to work on a lot of not super uber high end, but quality guitars, and a lot of what I do is normally, and it's not the mainstay of my work. There's no guitar I won't work on. If you want me to work on your guitar, I will work on your guitar, and I will treat them all the same. But the mainstay of my work is I do a lot. I'm mainly fretwork and network, and I tend to work all the guitars that come to me are mainly vintage Fenders. I'm talking 60s, 70s Fenders, or they are custom Gibsons, or higher end Gibsons 335s and the like. The other ones, the higher end guitars that I work on, I'm not going to mention who they are, but they're absolutely brilliant guitars. But this, working on my own, I'm very fortunate to get a lot of really good guitars, and people want me to work on them. That's absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant. I appreciate it. But today I've got a bass in today, and a lot of the basses I get in, they're not really high end. They're not really that in a greater condition. I don't get a lot in, which is quite surprising. But we're not really in that greater condition anyway. The ones I do get in, normally, like the Warwick I did, for instance, a couple of years ago, needed a lot of work. It needed the fingerboard removing so I could get it with truss rod, and the neck was twisted, it was bent, and it was warped. Anyway, that neck was bendable or out of whack. It was out of whack that way, and I ended up doing it. It took me, I don't know how long it took me. It took me 50 odd hours to work on that and get it all right, and I charged £100 for that, just because it was a first time experience. I knew the guy had got no money, and 50 hours at 100 quid, that's £2 an hour. Work that out. But anyway, that aside, apart from that bass, most of the other basses I've had in, not all of them, but most of them, are just, you need a bit of tinkering, or, you know, whatever, or we've got something really crappy happen to the neck. But this one is an exception to the rule, and this is an absolutely wonderful bass guitar. And before I get it out of the box, and it's in the original box, and let's talk about this guitar and where it came from. Well, this guitar was bought in 1974 at Colesborough in Mansfield, and it's like happening, I don't know what's like happening. It's a wonderful looking bass, and it's a 1974, and I'll tell you what it is. It's a Fender Jazz Bass from 1974. Belonged to a guy who's no longer with us. He passed away a couple of years ago, and his wife got in touch with me, said I'd been recommended to her, you know, and would I come and have a look at this bass, because she's been given mixed information about it. And it's a 1974 Fender Jazz Bass, and I'm gonna, if I can lift it out of the case without the case falling over, which I have done, I'll show you. And there you go. Rosewood neck, bound, sunburst. It has a serial number. I don't know what the serial number means. 502807. But look at the condition of this guitar. There is very light scratching to the scratch plate, and there's light scratching on the chrome. It's all original chrome. It's got the original tuners. I need polishing up a little. It's all in there. I've not checked the truss rod or anything yet. It is in absolutely fantastic condition. So the lady who owns this guitar, it belonged to her husband. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move this bass out of the way. I'm just going to pause a second. I'm going to move the case out of the way, and I'm going to put the guitar on the bench, and we can talk a little bit more. And we're back. And where was I talking about? Right, I was talking about the guitar, who owned this guitar. Right, okay. So this guitar was owned by the lady's husband. It was bought in 1974 from Colesborough Music in Mansfield, Nottinghamshire. And I just found a little box of gubbins that came with it. seal of approval to Association of Musical Instrument Industries stickers, little gubbins there, Colesborough sound equipment, there you go, nothing written on that, owner's manual Fender Jazz Bass, and it is a, I imagine, an inspection tag, part number blah blah blah, hardware assembler, I don't know, it's got a couple of names on there. Who did it? Paxton and Espinosa. Names on there. That's some information on about Fender Jazz Bass Sunburst. Whatever that says on there. Nothing to say the date. There is a stamp on there. Oh, that's the inspector's stamp. So nothing to do with the shop. Number 502807, serial number, which ties in what's on the back. So, why is it here with me? Well, it is coming for me to give it a once over. Now, there's a little nick in the rosewood there, I've just seen. The frets are tarnished, a little bit scratched, but not terrible. But the lady wants me to set this up and give it the once over, give it a check over, which I'm going to do. It looks like it's in fine fettle. I don't know the scale length of this. And I don't know, right, that doesn't go on there. It's probably scale length. I don't know how we do it. It's not quite that one. Right, so 35-inch scale length. Bit of relief in the neck there. I've not tested the truss rod, so it's my job to get this set up, to weigh it up, and to basically prepare it. Not that it's going to be sold, but to prepare it for sale. The lady's thinking of selling this now. It holds a lot of sentimental value, and she didn't want to sell it at first, but over the last year or so it's been on her mind that, you know, her husband wouldn't like it sat in a box doing nothing. So she's asked me to give it the once over, to clean it up, to have a look at it, to test everything, and to see what I think and try and find out some information on this. Now, value wise, there are a couple of these on eBay at the moment, priced at £3,500. They're not in as good condition as this, so I would, for valuation reasons, I mean for insurance wise, there's no reason why I won't insure this for £5,000, but I would think somewhere around the £4,000 mark is a pretty good starting point. Though again, I need to go and check everything, do some research and see what's what. But if I was putting this through an auction with a reserve, I would have a reserve price at something like, I don't know, somewhere around the 4,000 mark, maybe less, I don't know, could be more, I've got no idea. So I'm going to go and do some research, but what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to clean up the guitar. I'm going to polish the frets, I'm going to clean up the fingerboard, I'm going to clean all the chrome, I'm going to test all the electrics. So it's really as much as I can talk about right now. I don't see why there'd be anything wrong with it. I've not had it plugged in. I'm going to plug it in a minute, make sure everything works, make sure the electrics are okay. As far as I know, absolutely everything about this guitar is stock. This, I don't know if that's original or not. It could have been added later. It could be the initials of the guy that owned it. I don't see why we'd have JB on there for jazz bass, because we all know it's a jazz bass. The pickups in there, you have got two single coil pickups, both with, each string has 2 pole pieces, so there are 8 pole pieces on there. I'm going to remove the covers shortly. I'm going to test a couple of things, make sure it's all alright, and then what I'll do is I'll come back and I'll video me removing certain parts, testing the electrics, and we'll remove the chrome covers, have a look under there, have a look at the pickups, and we'll take it from there. So, come back soon. Right, hello again. Here we have the guitar plugged in. I've checked it over, I've played it. One thing I noticed straight away is the strings sound a little bit dead, and there is an earth problem. If you listen, when I let go of the strings, so we've got an earthing problem in there. Also, it does sound a little bit dull. I don't know why that is until I get into the electrics, so we'll have a look there. But it does play. It sounds okay. Like I say, I need to go in and have a look at the electrics, sort out the earthing problem in there. But let's just give it a little go. So yeah, it makes noise, it sounds okay. I will need to go and test this. I'll plug in my other bass and listen to a comparison of the sound and seeing if this is outputting right. But like I say, what I need to do is go and have a look inside at the electrics in there. I know there's going to be there's a problem with the earth in there. Also, the truss rod adjuster is at this end of the neck, and I'm not going to get in there with a screwdriver and knacker up the scratch plate, so I'm going to loosen the strings. We're going to get this neck set straight, and then we are going to check the frets with a fret rocker. I will obviously do that all on video. I'll remove these two cover plates as well. But I'm likely just to use this part of the video where I'm up to right now. I'm likely going to send to the owner just for her to have a look at. I think I will include I'll include me checking the neck and everything, just so she can see what she is getting for her money. I can see that there's quite a bit of wear, not a lot of wear on the frets, but they are very tarnished. So they're going to need a polish. She's already agreed, the lady's already agreed to have the intensive setup on this bass. Now, good thing about, I've got good news for bass players, is my intensive setup is not 75 quid for a bass like it is for a guitar. It is £60. So you're getting a lot of work there for 60 quid. You're getting all your electrics done, your frets looked at, everything polished, and everything that comes in with that. So that's as much as it's going to cost her, unless we need to work on any frets. Now, I can't see us needed to work on any frets at the moment, but I'll have a quick check while I'm here. Seem fine, but that's because there's a high fret there. But that's only one, and we don't have the neck set exactly straight yet, so one high fret is not going to be, I'm not going to charge extra for one high fret, am I? What I will do is, those frets seem absolutely fine. I'm going to remove the strings, the chrome plates, and set the neck straight. Then we can come back and see exactly where we are. Right, I found out the reason for the strings sounding dead and dampened, and that is because they were dampened. Now, under this bridge plate here, here's a piece of foam stuck in there, and it goes over the strings. It goes over the strings at the bridge, but it also protrudes over the edge of this bridge, so that is dampening the strings. So with that removed, we get a lot more sustain, as I will show you. So now all we really need to do is find out what is causing that grounding problem inside. Let me just turn this amplifier off. With the strings removed, we'll start to see a little bit more about the condition. Now, this can all be removed here. This little bit of crap, it's probably dead skin dust. The pickups will need altering, we need lining up right. I have noticed though where the screws hold in the plate, there's a little bit of damage on these areas. Now, I would probably seal that with just a little bit of CA glue, but I'll tape around these areas and just seal that, stop it cracking anymore. The next job to be done is, obviously I'm going to polish these covers, these chrome covers in time. The main part of the job really is to get these frets sorted out. That's the chrome covers, there you go. Is to sort out these, sort out the frets. Put my hat back, I have to take my hat off to look under that plate. Right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera on the bass. I'm going to loosen the strings, and what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to get the neck straight. I'm just going to loosen the strings, and that should, releasing that tension of the strings, taking that tension off, it should straighten this neck out. Now, let's see where we are there. Got a little bit of relief there, just loosening the strings enough, just get the neck perfectly straight, and then we can go and check the frets. And I think that will be about there. We now have the neck, just going to tighten on one string, absolutely straight. I'm going to turn the camera so you can see where we are. Now, I know this will not make a great deal of sense to the owner of this guitar, but I'm going to go across with a fret rocker and I will try and explain what that is all about as I do it. And that's good enough for the camera. Right, so what I've done is, I'm going to take my word for this, it's called a notched straight edge, and there's a notch that goes over the frets, and this is a perfectly straight edge, and what we need to do is we put it over the guitar, stand it on the neck, and we're looking underneath to see if there's a gap, and we'll see light coming through there. Now there's absolutely no light. It means, because I've loosened the strings, there's a bend in the neck that way, like a shape of a smile, like that. Because I've loosened the strings, the tension has come off the strings and my neck has now bent back and it's straightened out. Where it had that smile before, it's now gone completely straight. And what that enables me to do now is to use what we call a fret rocker. And this is a fret rocker, and you'll see it has 4 different lengths. It's a very clever device, and it is milled absolutely perfectly straight. And what we do is we place a straight edge across 3 frets at a time, and if it rocks, we know the one in the middle is high, and we do this across the whole length of the bass. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to stop yapping a minute, and we're going to look for high frets, and we're good so far. And they're all good. That was a little bit high. If you listen, that means we need to shave a little bit off the top of that fret. We need to now turn it round and use a shorter edge because the frets are getting closer together. So we've got 1, 1 there, listen, 2, and there you go. We have 2 high frets. That is absolutely not a problem. I'll get back to that in a second when I move the camera. And the reason 2 high frets is not a problem is on an intensive setup you get 5 frets included. So if you have 5 high frets, I will repair them as part of the inclusive setup. Also extra you get in an inclusive setup rather than a player setup is you also get all your electrics done. So again, that is covered. So this guitar just needs an intensive setup, including the electrics being looked at, including up to 5 frets being fixed. Everything else will be done, your action will be done, your radius, your bridge set, everything you could think of on setting up a guitar is included, because that's included in a player setup anyway. An intensive setup is a player setup plus electrics plus 5 frets. If it came to where we needed extra frets doing more than 5, and we'll be looking at a fret level, and you'll be looking at upwards of 80 quid, 85 quid with a setup £100. So it's good that it only needs an intensive setup. So what else have I determined looking at this guitar closely? Well, there is a small chip in this area, very tiny flaw. I don't know if you'll see it, just under my finger there, not the hole, just right underneath my finger. There's that one there. There's also a finished flaw on the back here, but that is under the lacquer, so that was always there. So again, nothing major. Looking at the neck, I'll just feel under there, because if there's any nicks in there, we'll feel one. I know there is a tiny chip on one area, and there's a finish flaw I've just spotted on the side of the binding, which I'll get to in a moment. I know there's a small nick in the rosewood here. But none of these things alter the way the guitar plays, but if I show you, best thing for me to do is to point out all the flaws of this guitar straight away, because this video will also be included as part of the sales pitch, I imagine, because I don't hide anything. There is some, oh wow, there's some finish marking here where the frets were finished off, and if you look very, very closely where a file has rubbed into the wood there, you can't really see it that well. There is a little nick here in the rosewood, and also I've noticed something on, there's this here on the binding just there. I don't know if that's a finish flaw, is underneath the lacquer, it looks like it might well be. Again here, these are things you can overlook. You know, quality control nowadays, you pick up on that, you say no, it's going out as a second, and I've just seen here, and again these areas here under the lacquer, that line there and that line there, a little bit of like a wood dust has got under the lacquer. So really something that you wouldn't get away with nowadays. But I have to point these things out because this guitar's going up for sale and it's going up for a lot of money. Will it alter the value of the guitar? I don't think so. There is a little, it's not even a chip, it's a little dull area there just below my finger. And that's really all I can see of, is a tiny, tiny scratch there. I mean, this might determine a little bit the price a little. There's a little nick also in that part there. I mean, this might drop, you know, might be looking, you know, I don't think £3,750 will be expensive for this guitar. I would maybe consider, I don't know, I need to go and look and check. I'd have thought £3,500 will be maybe a fairish price both ways. What is someone prepared to pay? I don't really know. I don't know the value of this. All I'm going by at the moment is the prices I've seen these 1974 jazz basses on eBay for at the moment, and they tend to be hovering around that £3,500 mark. Now, in my mind, and my professional opinion is of that this guitar is in slightly better condition than those guitars. It is not pristine, it is not flawless, but it is in very, very good condition. Very, well, not very good, it's very good to excellent condition. A guitar 44 years old is going to have a couple of nicks here and there. Let's just see, I might find another tiny one here. These are just lacquer, not even really indentations. Yeah, there's another one here. And like I say, everything will be documented. There is one, I mean, it's hardly worth mentioning, but I will mention it, just below my finger again. I don't even know if you can see it. We'll take some high resolution photographs of this bass when it's all ready to go out. A little bit of binding, is there a binding issue there? No, it's absolutely fine. So like I say, I'll take a lot of high resolution photographs when I get this up for sale. The reason I want this guitar immaculate is, of course, I will be commanding a small seller's fee somewhere along the line. That little flaw in the neck there, I could, oh, it's not a flaw, it's scratched off. That was something, it's not an indentation, it was something that was on, oh, it is a little bit of an indentation. I can fill that invisibly with some rosewood dust and a little bit of super glue, and we can sand that flat. So everything, all the work on this guitar will be filmed. Every single thing I do on this guitar will be filmed. We'll make it intensive, just because this guitar is likely going to be going up for sale, and I would like the new owner of this guitar to see everything that is being done on this bass. We'll hold nothing back. The fact that we're going to command such a good price for this, and it will be worth it. The new owner will be absolutely pleased as punch. So let's get it all done right. I'm doing my job right. If I'm intensive on this, if I'm commanding a seller fee, then you know everything has to be done right. If you don't know who I am, my name is Victor Christian. I'm the owner of a guitar repair company called Fret Friend. I'm based out in North Nottingham. I have clients up and down the country. A lot of my work comes in through the mail because I've built up a good reputation over the years. People trust my work, and rather than use someone local, or maybe not be disappointed with their local luthiers or guitar techs, I've been having a lot of stuff sent to me. I also work for a high-end guitar importer who is not just a business, is a guy, is a single guy. I'm not going to mention the guitars he imports, but just take my word for it, they are high-end. I've got my credentials. You can check my work and my reviews at facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. That's facebook.com/NG17. The 17ONESEVEN. So NG17, NGONESEVEN. You can go and check me out on there. This is part of a video. Is now basically it's the appraisal of the guitar done. This will be part one of the video series. In part two, we will get on to getting the work done. It won't be a long series, it'll be a two-parter. This part one is mainly for the owner of this bass, so she can see what work she's getting done. She can see my appraisal of the guitar, what I think of the guitar, what I'm saying needs doing. I can see no other problems. I've not tested the truss rod. If there is a problem with the truss rod, you know, that's a different story. I can't see there being a problem with a truss rod at all, but that is really the only thing that could go wrong now. So I won't say fingers crossed because I'm a Christian, so I trust in the Lord that this guitar is absolutely fine. The truss rod works, and I am going to commence the work. So this, for now, is end of part one. I will send this part of the video to the owner of the guitar so she can see what is being done, and I've completely lost. I'm always losing this remote control for the video. So that's it. So end of part one. So make sure you come back to part two, where we will set about getting this guitar fixed, set up, working properly and ready for sale. Back soon.